Morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. I'm really excited to share this with you because, especially after last week's video, where I was talking about stress myths and what you can do, what we can do when shit hits the fan. And you know what the interesting thing is? It was like a foreshadowing for me. Shit did hit the fan for me. I was saying last week that when things start to feel weird, use your breath to come back to you, or go to have a place ready in your head and your imagination where you can go to when things don't feel well. And thirdly, if you do lose it and shit does hit the fan, don't beat yourself up about it. So I don't want to get into any specifics. That's not what this is about. But I do feel the need to share this with you because when you're on a healing journey, when you're on a healing path, it doesn't mean to say that everything is rosy and always will be. But when you encounter conflict, well, the point of this is how I got through the conflict with surprisingly great ease for what it was. So and there's so many layers to this. There's so much I can say. In fact, I haven't prepared a thing, and I'm just gonna allow myself to speak through this. So I'll begin in a place whereby it kind of began when after some time and being in a situation with lots of people, I was fine. There were little bow and arrows of passive aggressive stuff that were being flung, bounced off, heard them, away, gone, whatever. And then we got to a point in the evening. It was Christmas evening, after dinner, and there was something that came up, and instead of allowing it to pass, and then feeling, I felt like if I didn't say anything this time, well, I'm a coward, for lack of a better word. I really need to speak up. And just backtracking on that for a second, this has been my big thing, a really big thing for me, not speaking up, and this whole situation gave me the opportunity to bring to light so many things, which I'll get back to in a second, and why it was so important for me to speak up. But so I did speak up, and no problem. But then once that did happen, there was that bow and arrow again of a comment, let's just say, and that was enough for me. It was a trigger for me to lose it. So so what did that look like? What happens when Manj loses it? When I did this time, well, I yelled, and I was, I was saying last week, when someone's projecting at you, don't engage, don't get involved in a conversation. And I was the person who was trying to trying to get someone to engage with me, in the name of honesty and clarity. And, on that note, just because you're ready in your heart you're at a place where you can speak openly and honestly to speak openly and honestly doesn't mean that other people are ready. So I was trying to force a situation. I want to do this. So let's do this. Come on, let's not hide anymore. Let's be open. Let's just spill it all right here and now. And the response to that was no. I'm not going to engage with you. But more little snippets of stuff were dropped, and I accepted them. I had no ability to to come back to me in that moment. And so what happened from there was, well, I did come back to me, and I came downstairs. I yelled, I swore, I did. And I recognized that this isn't going to shift. I need to leave. So I did. I came downstairs, had my jar of water with me, which, not that one in particular, because that one went and I bashed it against the wall, which made me feel really good, in fact. I came downstairs, I was in my own space, went into my room, I had my hands on my legs, breathing, just coming back to me, and really, honey, are you doing this? Are you going to give your power away right now? Come back, come back, come back, come on, let's get this together. And that is how I was talking to myself. I never went back upstairs, not for a few hours, or a couple hours at least, in which time the person with whom I was trying to engage with had left. So I came downstairs. I don't remember the specifics of it. Sat at my computer, was looking at how to flee, where to go. And then someone came downstairs, and I cried in her arms uncontrollably. I mean, when I showered this morning, I thought to myself, wow, I didn't have an ounce of sadness. You know, exactly what went through my mind is I cried like someone had died. And you know what? In those moments, I hadn't known yet, George Michael had died, who is love him. You know, I said that yesterday in a video. Absolutely love George Michael. He died, and I had not an ounce of sadness. In fact, it was the opposite when I heard that he'd passed. You know, I was happy that he'd passed and he's not in suffering and whatever. But, you know, there was a comment in my mind this morning when I had a shower that I was crying like someone died. And then I thought to myself, really, how interesting is that you were in a situation, like, death doesn't make you cry, but this thing did. You know, this thing was really so big. It was really so big, and actually it was like a death, and that's what this whole thing feels like now. Like, let me carry on and I'll get back to that. So I cried uncontrollably in this person's arms for a long time. It was really cathartic, and she squeezed me really tight, really exactly what I needed. And then she was gone, and there I wrote. I sat down. Actually, I did this writing before she came in. And when I first started writing, and I'll share with you just a bit of it, when I first started writing, it was, I was writing the word no. And I wrote it 6 million times. A lot of no's. And then no turned into on. So from no, I went to on. And I wasn't thinking about it. It was just coming. And that's why I really encourage you to write, because things come out. But I went from no to on and on to anonymous. And I'll share with you what I wrote once I got to anonymous. And it was, I want to be anonymous. Anonymous Manj Carthagazer. I am my own being. I am the light I am. I belong to the culture of myself. Ooh. I am my own spirit, my own God, my own temple. Everything that I need, I am. And then I wrote a little bit more. So even reading that now is really powerful for me. So I went from this, you know, that was about 20 minutes later, I reckon. So much came out, so much came out. Others came into my space. I said everything that I needed to, and no longer from a place of anger. The anger stayed upstairs when I walked out of the space where things had occurred. And I was down here doing my writing, people filtering in and out. Are you okay? No, not at all. Not at all am I okay. But I'm gonna be okay. So I was really surprised that I was able to leave the room, because from the point at which I started, which was I want out now, immediately. Where can I go and how can I get there? To then going to the point where I don't think I can leave my room for like 3 days at this moment, because this is so intense. This is really, I don't know how. I can't see past this, but the whole time I'm staying here, as best as possible, and so there is no beating myself up. There's absolutely none. It was just this really ugly feeling. How how is this possible? How can this be? In any case, I got okay. I got okay to the point where I was actually able to go upstairs and be in the same space of those who were here. I was surprised to hear myself laugh. I was, in hindsight, hearing about George Michael passing was a non-issue for me. I mean, I think the first thing that came out, literally the first thing that came out of my mouth was, well, that's fantastic. He's gone into the light. That's brilliant. Now, he went from, he's not going to make any more new music, but he's on the other side now and he's helping everyone else in ways that we can't even imagine. That's what happens when we go into the light. So amazingly, really amazingly, I want to skip to happened when I came to bed, because I talked about this and I didn't want to give it too much energy. No bad mouthing and stuff like that. I did for a little while, and then I was like, all right, I choose not to do that anymore. I want to, in fact, I want to make a video about this. So it's like, do you know what? When I always say, if I can share something publicly like this, it's become a story, like reading a story or hearing a story about somebody else. It's like when I was raped. When I blogged about that, when I spoke about that in interviews, it was like talking about someone else's life. So now it's already that. It's pretty cool. It's really cool. It's this whole process of getting through things has become so much faster, unbelievably faster. Before I talk about conflict and the beauty of it, the potential beauty of it, and why I no longer think that war is bad, I want to talk about what happened that evening. And I think this is really important to show you how I got through it, because I've talked about spiritual bullshit. I've talked about the law of attraction. I've talked about, loving what is loving our emotions. What's the word? Talking to our emotions like they're a 5-year-old child, right? Like they're coming up and we are pushing them away. And that's precisely where I want to go right now. So, things were okay. I was able to sort of mingle and be upstairs with others. Was very open and honest with everybody about how I felt, and everyone was receptive. There's a great deal of love, and then I came down to bed, and it was maybe 1:30 in the morning, and I couldn't sleep, and the whole thing's playing in my mind. And it was not fun, So I went into consciously allowing everything that I was thinking and feeling. So, and I've talked about this before. And I want to bring it up again. I don't think I can say this enough. Let me just tell you. So the person that I was at odds with, I imagined the worst stuff. I allowed myself to hate this person. I allowed myself to take this person's head, cut off their neck, and flush it down the toilet. Now, I'm saying this on purpose. You can choose to think what you wish about it, but I purposely exaggerated my feelings towards this person. Consciously, I allow myself to hate, I allow myself to kill, I allow myself to see this person dead, I allow myself blah blah blah, all this stuff, because I knew, based on the past and how I've done this, it's not actually what I want. But allowing my mind to go into the darkest, ugliest places ever helps me come back to here and now, helps me have compassion, helps me see that other person as a crying child who, for whatever reason, is saying their piece. Zero hate for that person. Nothing, no feeling, indifference. I can't say that there's great love for this person. Not right now. No, but I went into the ugliest places of my mind. And it's the worst at nighttime, isn't it, when you're trying to sleep? And I went from there to then going into the law of attraction, and I was like, oh my God, I'm doing this, which is based really the conscious allowance of emotions and everything, and get ugly in your mind. No one needs to know the ugliness of your mind. I'm sharing that with you so you can see how it translates to getting okay. So there was me doing that on one hand, and then on the other hand, I was coming back to right now. So I'm lying there in my bed, and the conscious allowal is through the teachings of Matt Kahn, who's written a book called Whatever Arises, love that. Phenomenal stuff. Insane. Too good to be true. Insane. In any case, I went from that to something else that helps me, and that was coming back to the present moment, lying there in my bed and saying to myself, wow, this is really nice. Thank you for this bed. I'm really comfortable in this bed. I love this pillow. I love my pajamas. I love that my heart is beating. I don't know how this sounds for you, but this is how I got through it. So it was going between the, and then the feelings would come back. Everything, it was coming back. It was really, really difficult. It was such a difficult, because, with this person in particular, lots of history. Oh gosh. Lots of butting heads. Lots of it. And I'm grateful. I don't think you're watching, but thank you very much. So I went back and forth between allowing my emotions to rise rather than pushing them away, to really speaking, even if it was lying that, I love this moment. I love my body. I love my heartbeat. I love it. So that was bringing me back. And then, it was so on and off. It was like waves coming and going. And then came a point where oh God, so many layers of this. I can't remember what the thoughts were, but there was a point at which I just took my head and I was like, I can't stop this. I don't know. I went to another level. I can't stop this. Why? And I was going to cry, and all of a sudden I heard this: enough is enough, girl. And at that moment, I turned on the light, and I picked up my book. It was, I don't know what time, maybe 3:30, maybe 4 o'clock. It was late, early. I picked up my book by Paramahansa Yogananda, the autobiography of a yogi, which was the exact thing that I needed at the time. And I must say, to the person who referred it to me, I love you. Thank you. It's been the most perfect thing ever on so many levels. So I fell asleep after reading I don't know how much of that. And would you believe I woke up in a state of absolute peace. Absolute peace. And this is, I see that I get surprised at how easy this is. You gotta go through the shit. We've got to be willing to walk into the shit. And that's one of the things that I was saying and doing. That's a big thing that I want to reiterate or share with you, was that, in all the shittiness, and I felt so bad. I felt so bad. Even going to all the stuff in my mind that I knew has helped me before. I went to the final place. I talk about death. I've talked about, the ultimate place in my mind was surrendering. I allow myself to die to the situation. And that's what it feels like. That's what it felt like. In the morning, I woke up and I felt reborn. I felt like, wow, that all needed to happen. It did. It did. And now I'll go back to, how I was saying that, I was fine throughout the weekend. And then, there came a point where I needed to speak. There's something so strong in me where I needed to say something. And I'll tell you why. There have been some great people, some great people by my side in my life. I remember a few years back, I was with my then partner. I was the most perfect wife in the world, out of his words, his own words, and whatever. And there came a point where I lost it. I lost my shit. I've never done that before. I never showed that kind of anger, rage, or anything. And slamming doors, jumping up and down, yelling at the top of my lungs, sort of thing. So out of character. So out of character. And the person said to me after it was all over, he was like, wow, either you deserve an Oscar or something's really wrong with you. And I'll never forget that. I think that really it was a combination of both. And all, since then, and in my last relationship, it's really clearly seen for myself that I need to speak up, and there is no better time than right now to say your truth, and even someone said it out loud last week, oh, it's not the right time, I know I need to say something, but it's not the right time. And I said to that person, no, do you know what? Every moment is the right time. Every moment is. It's just how we do things, how we say things, right? So people have come and gone in my life, and now, let's talk about intimate relationships, and I've lost, or I can say my greatest, the thing that I continue to work on is being clear and being honest and staying in the state of love. Do you know, the incident that happened at Christmas time, for me, it needed to happen. I'm sorry that, others had to be witness to it. I am. Being in this selfish mode, self-love mode, right? The most important thing for me was to just speak up. And that's where, I spoke earlier about how I don't think war is a bad thing. And that doesn't mean to say that, I love to see countries in war and all that stuff. I think there comes a point where war doesn't exist anymore. But things need to come up, things need to rise. But it doesn't mean that things have to get ugly. And honestly, I'm so proud of myself for getting through that conflict the way that I did. I have to tell you, yesterday, the day after the conflict, there was so much harmony in this house. There's so much harmony, and I suppose it's it's how I felt, with every individual that also lives in this space. It was so awesome, so beautiful. And again, I was reminded that the conflict isn't bad. It's how you deal with it. And that's the part. I thought to myself, I told you guys last week. I was like, as I was saying before as well, when shit hits the fan, go to your breath. When shit hits the fan, go to that place in your mind that you've already planned out. And when all else fails and shit does hit the fan, then don't beat yourself up about it. And I thought to myself this morning when thinking about what I would say today, what does that mean? What does it mean not to beat yourself up? Did I beat myself up the other day? What does that mean for you, not to beat yourself up? I mean, is it a literal thing? Or not so much, right? It's more a mental, emotional thing. Like, oh, I was such an idiot and feeling guilty and all that kind of stuff. Zero guilt for me. Zero guilt. Zero regrets. In fact, when I came downstairs, I wish I'd, honestly speaking, I wish I'd cracked that person in the face, just delivered a really big blow, a good punch. It's really what I wanted to do. I think that was what was playing in my mind a lot after the fact. And shit, why did you do that? As awful as that sounds, it's the truth. I really wanted to. Really wanted to crack that person in the face. No lie. Don't anymore. That's all gone. It's all gone. So even me, I don't know how this sounds for you. It's real. It's really, really real. And what else went through my mind in the recovery process was the I am that I am, which is very much, it goes to a place of great humility in my life. There was a time when, I had the most perfect partner, beautiful house, cat and a dog, everything was perfect for a time. Money, things, whatever, you name it. And it was perfect, so much harmony for a time. And I lost that. It's gone. And at any given moment in time, I think what I want to say here is don't take anyone for granted. Don't, and let us not project onto other people when our life seems perfect. Anything can happen to anyone at any time, or we need to call on others for help. I've been at a place of zero. This is great, with great humility. I share this with you. I tell you this. Financially, nothing. Almost on the street. And all of that's been awesome. All of that's been really awesome to come to this place, be able to share this with you, and be okay. Not hate, but to come back to the place of love. No one has a power over us to make us feel less than what we think we are, right? I have zero blame, nothing for anyone or where I am in my life, absolutely nothing. And I think that's what I wanted to share with you, is how we've got it. It's the same thing as every time, right? Like getting real with yourself, wading through the water, the murky waters, to find what you're looking for, which was never lost, which is you. So I can look in the mirror. I can look in the mirror today and know that, you know, I do my best. I've done my best. And so have you. This is also what pulled me through, that we're all just doing our best. Let's not beat each other up. Let's not beat ourselves up. And even in saying this, you know, saying this out loud and sharing this with you, has altered my mind since I began. I don't know how long I've been speaking for now, but I'm even in a different place than I was when I started this video, which is really cool, which is, I don't think cool is quite the word. I kind of want to say miraculous. That's kind of what I want to say. So look, to wrap this up, speak your mind, even if you're afraid. Because more often we practice it, which is what I was talking about with my relationships, and you know, relationships haven't worked out for me. And oftentimes it's because I was the best wife in the world and just being a pushover to myself, and not speaking my truth until it was too late. So let's speak our truth. Let's walk forward. Dealing with our emotions, allowing them to arise, and loving ourselves like we've never loved before. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you've picked up a little bit here. Now I did say that I'm no longer doing Tuesdays with Manj, only because doing Tuesdays with Manj for 16 weeks now has been so phenomenal that I don't need to call it anything. It doesn't need a label. I'll just pop on and do videos, okay? What a process. What a process of growth. So I won't be here next Tuesday, but I'll be back tomorrow or the next day. Thank you for you. God bless you. I wish you so much love. May you be blessed with the courage to stand up to and for yourself and be the light that you are. I am the light I am. Say that to yourself. I love you. Say that to yourself. Please forgive me. Say that to yourself. Thank you. Say that to yourself. I'm sorry. Say that to yourself. Thank you. Truly, honestly, thank you. God bless you. See you next time.